Hey everybody, Brent back with you, and it is time for another Star Wars vintage card video. I was trying to think what the next one should be, and I'm just going to make it simple, well, simple in theory, and give you my top 10 favorite Topps vintage Star Wars cards. Simple in the sense of, yeah, that's easy to say, but not necessarily easy to choose. Some of them were, but then I had to rank them, and I second guessed myself many times. As many of you know, whenever you have to do a top whatever video, it's not always so easy. So my criteria is simple in theory. Again, a lot of theory going on. 10 cards from the Topps 1977 series 1 through 5, and these are not the most valuable, although a couple of them are, but this is more based on whether it's my favorite image, maybe it's one of my favorite scenes from the original trilogy, not just the trilogy, but from the first movie, Star Wars, before it was called A New Hope. It could be a character, it could be nostalgia based, it could be something personal, for a personal reason why I chose one of these cards. So that's kind of a loose explanation of the criteria that went into the decision of these top 10 cards. This could change next week, this could change tomorrow, but for right now, this is my top 10 for my Star Wars cards. Coming to you live from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Shout out to Ken from Ken's Cardboard and any other Coloradoans, Coloradoites that might be going through Hoth-like weather these past couple of days. My goodness, I have seen more snow fall in the past 2 days than I have in half my lifetime. I think woke up this morning to 14 inches overnight, which was on top of 7 inches already. So you do the math. It's a lot of snow. It's quickly melting, thankfully. But anyways, very Hoth-like these past couple days on the I-25 Colorado corridor. So anyways, I'm here for Business on Travel, as I usually am. Hence the charming artwork that I would never have in my own house. But I have brought with me my top 10 favorite vintage Star Wars cards. We're going to turn the camera around and we're going to take a look at them right now. All right, let's do it.
Igabanga Anupa Shabasa Gigi Stuta Chuba and Moon Tagrandio Mulira Sumbola Sumuba Batata Uba Tamun Silba
Alrighty, folks, so wouldn't be a vintage Star Wars card video for me without my trusty Volume 1 trading card series book that goes in in-depth each card from the original Star Wars release from 1977. Love this book. In a couple videos previously, I have used it to give some quick behind-the-scenes explanations to the cards. I will do that with a few of them today. So without further ado, let's replace this book with number 10. This is from Series 5, the Orange Series. This is the cardboard debut of George Lucas. So this is technically George Lucas's rookie card. So I'm going to set that here for a second and read to you what it says about this one, because there is an interesting tidbit about card 305 from the Orange set, Series 5. So in addition to exciting shots from the Cantina sequence, so let me back up for a second. Series 5 they were kind of desperate at this time for what pictures are we going to show. So they started showing a lot of the Cantina scenes and some of the creatures that were in them. But this was the first behind the scenes image that were made available to Topps. So many of the cards after 305 were behind the scenes shots of the VX, special effects, makeup artists, costume design, camera work, all of those things that were giving the proverbial peek behind the curtain that was so, to an extent, pretty tight-lipped and not shown. So this was kind of our first glimpse into the behind the scenes of Star Wars. Now, me as a kid, this confused me. I'm like, why? What's going on? I know movies aren't real, but I wanted them to be real, especially this one. So when I see, Greedo with a straw through his mouth so he can breathe, I assume. And then this guy with a sweater and checkered shirt. I don't know who George Lucas was, but I come to greatly appreciate him for obvious reasons. But this is director George Lucas's rookie card and first appearance in the Topps series. That is my number 10. So I cheated because, this is my list, so I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do. And number 9 is actually going to be 2 cards, but they are intrinsically connected for me, and you'll see why in a moment. First we have number 122, the Millennium Falcon. Beautiful red. I've always loved this, the Starfield with the Millennium Falcon and the red planet behind it. And then its counterpart, number 131, Spectacular Battle. Now, if you know the series so far, these are the first cards that actually showed space battle images. And reading the caption from card 131, that's the one on the left, the author writes, "This was the money shot of Series 2. This was the second significant space battle image released to licensees, the first being this one, with 3 significant visuals in place, the Death Star, an X-Wing, and a TIE Fighter. Granted, the shot was significantly airbrushed and somewhat contrived, but we Star Wars licensees were absolutely starved for visual effects battle scenes at this juncture." So they took what they could get, this is what they had, and they made it look phenomenal. Absolutely loved this card from the moment I saw this as a young lad, just for obvious reasons. The red border with the red lasers, the red border with the red planet. These go great, as you can see, in an SGC slab as well. So these cards are intrinsically connected and are number 9 on my list. Now, number 8, we are actually going back to Series 5, the Orange Series, for card 324. And this card, I've always liked, and there's a story behind it, but I'll give you the card first. Chewie takes a breather between scenes. Now, the author writes in the book, "It's kind of funny to see an enormous Wookiee relaxing so serenely on set. But actor Peter Mayhew, buried inside a shaggy costume, clearly deserves a break from his heroic adventures." Now, I mentioned before that as a kid, I wasn't too keen on Series 5 because it gave me a peek behind a curtain that I didn't want to know existed. But this was different for me. I always loved seeing Chewie just relaxing in a random chair. And I never, as a little kid, I never understood why. There's these guys behind them with regular clothes, and then he's just sitting in that chair. Because it doesn't say Peter Mayhew takes a breather between scenes. It's Chewie. So I'm like, okay, yeah, Chewbacca, he's tired. He's been gallivanting around the galaxy all day and putting up with Han's heroics. So why wouldn't he take a breather? But this card through the years has just kind of resonated and stayed with me as just a fun glimpse into the behind the scenes of Star Wars, but at the same time reminds me of my childhood where I thought this card was so unique and so fun, and yet at the same time a bit confusing. So that's number 8. Chewie takes a breather between scenes. So for number 7, we're going to go to the blue set, Series 1, and this is card number 26. A horrified Luke sees his family killed. The caption reads, "A horrified Luke stares at the charred remains of his uncle and aunt, slaughtered off-screen by the droid-seeking stormtroopers sometime earlier." It's an extremely harsh moment, possibly the darkest bit of business in the entire saga. Mark Hamill plays this devastating scene beautifully. In one moment, close-up, he goes from callow youth to man with a mission. And that's exactly how I feel about this card. And this wasn't one that resonated with me when I was a kid. This was later on when I just realized the gravitas that was captured in this cardboard. But this truly was the moment that he went from a callow young farm boy to growing up to, before he wanted to get off the planet, but now he's a guy that needs to get off the planet because he knows his destiny lies somewhere else. And there's nothing left for him here on this planet. And I think this image just portrays that moment so well. And a lot of these cards are just screenshots per se of the movie. But this one just kind of transcends that and just shows in this moment, especially what we know that's coming and what he had to go through and what was revealed to him. But in this moment, he had to grow up in front of our eyes, and rather quickly. So this is number 7 for me. A horrified Luke sees his family killed. All right, for number 6, we're going to go to the red series. That's Series 2, and this is card 106. And this is chalking up as one of my favorite images in the whole series, in the whole set. There is no caption for this, and maybe there wasn't anything to say about it because the image speaks for itself. A message from Princess Leia. I will say this, they loved their exclamation points. There were so many taglines or captions for these cards that needlessly have a exclamation point at the end. And all of you Seinfeld fans will appreciate that. But I digress.
I felt that the writing lacked a certain
I love how it's
emotion
taken from
and
afar
intensity.
And shows the moment, especially after just seeing what Rogue One was and Rogue One leading into this. And that's why I will always pound the table for Rogue One as pretty much the only Star Wars Disney product that I will stand behind. That this image just carries a lot more to it. That what she is putting in R2 came with a lot of sacrifice and a lot of stuff that we just weren't aware of yet. And this image just kind of, why is she putting something inside this little droid? He's just a messenger. And yes, he provides comedic relief off and on throughout the saga, but he was truly an important messenger in this moment. And I've always loved the image of this in the industrial looking ship in the bowels of the Tantive 4. This has always looked really cool to me. So this is card number 10987. Did I say 10987? This is card 6. Okay, I can't count. Apologies. Okay, for card 5, we are going to look at one from the blue series again. This is card number 58. What I love about this card is it's just the perfect image of our hero, Han Solo. Not his rookie card, because he appears earlier in the set, but this is this great, yes, I'll say it, solo card of Han Solo. The author writes, slightly older than his co-stars, Harrison Ford had popped up previously in George Lucas's American Graffiti. Ford was also besieged by supernatural forces in an unsold TV pilot called The Possessed, which eventually aired on NBC in 1977 at the height of Star Wars popularity. I bet you didn't know that. Maybe you did. He was in an unsold TV pilot called The Possessed. So he was a bit of a hot commodity. Obviously, he would go on from here to be the star of another amazing trilogy. And yes, I call it a trilogy, Indiana Jones, Blade Runner, and many others. But this is a great action shot of our hero. Staged as it is, but this kind of just became the perfect encapsulation of who he is. Rogue, yet focused, brash, yet confident, and we all loved him for it. We all wanted that outfit. We all wanted that blaster. We wanted the swag. We wanted to be Han Solo. So that is number 5. Number 4, we have our first foray into the yellow series. And this is number 196. And this, again, is one of those things that I just, over the years, grew to appreciate more and more and more, just the simple beauty and starkness of this card. And this is Lord Darth Vader. The author writes, desperately out of pictures, even redundant ones, art director Ben Solomon cropped this earlier 2-shot of Darth Vader in a guard, which is card 132, and made it into a single. So they were so desperate because they didn't realize just how, and I don't understand how they wouldn't, at the time realize how popular Darth Vader would become. We didn't know anything about this guy yet. You think about that. We really knew nothing about this guy from episode 4. But Topps knew that he was popular and so desperate to get another image of him, they had to crop him out of a earlier card and make it into a single. Let me show you that card. Card number 132. I'll just look it up here in the book in a moment here, shall we? Let's see, card 132. Easier said than done. My goodness. Oh, here it is. Lord Vader and a Soldier. So there it is. Let's just do this. So they took that image of him, cropped out a soldier, and we're left with this stark beauty of a card of Lord Darth Vader. Never appreciated as much as I do now, or as I was, an adult collecting these, but just the stark beauty of Darth Vader by himself, looking off into contemplating his past, who he was, knowing a lot more than we did at the time of who he was. Number 4. Number 3, I've shown you before in a previous video, so I won't go into the author's notes. You can check that video that I posted a couple months ago. But this is number 5, Princess Leia. Yes, Princess Leia's rookie card. But I love this image of her. I love the star map behind her. Always been a big fan of that aesthetic. Even as a kid, I just thought it was so spacey and so cool. And now it just seems so cool, retro spacey. But more importantly, the young yet vigilant and strong Princess Leia Organa. Again, not knowing what we knew later or know now as to what she went through, who she was connected to, and who she would become, you look back at this card and just see a almost troubled youth that has more weight on her shoulders than she thinks she can bear. And she's staring at the star map, wondering how she signed up or why she signed up for this, and how is this going to work. So there's a lot of thoughts that are going through her mind that transcend the cardboard it's put on. But I've always loved this image of Princess Leia. Number 3. So number 2 may surprise you, because most people will have this as number 1, because technically it is number 1, and that is card 1 from the set, Luke Skywalker. Now, I've done in previous videos back in the day why this card, besides its obvious significance, and I have done a video on it separately asking if this is the most significant non-sports card in existence. Obviously from a pop culture perspective, I think it is. One can argue for, like, you know, historic figures or other non-sports figures, but from a pop culture perspective, I think this is pretty much at the top. But this card means more than that to me, because this was pack pulled by my father and I back in 1978. So I have had this card, sent it into SGC a couple years ago to get it graded, and this card will never leave my collection. I will sell every other Star Wars card, even the aforementioned and video that I made with the autograph of Carrie Fisher. This card will be the last one that I would get rid of, just because it means the most to me. And it is an iconic card, but it just carries so much more personally because of the fact that I pulled this with my dad. So this is number 2. Number 1, Luke Skywalker. So that being said, you should not be surprised that the next card is number 1. What you may be pleasantly surprised at is the beautiful, pristine SGC 9 that I just upgraded to. So this is my favorite card, because this is my favorite image, the imprisoned Princess Leia. Now I can't remember if I read to you folks about this card. He really doesn't say much. He just basically says, imprisoned on the Death Star, Princess Leia hangs out until hope arrives in the unexpected form of Luke Skywalker. She's just sitting there biding her time, not knowing what the future holds for her. She looks very nonplussed. Contrast this to the image we have here, where she's just got the weight of the world on her shoulders. She just looks like she is put out, could not be bothered by these idiot stormtroopers, not knowing that her rescuer would end up being her brother. You couldn't make that up, even if you tried. But this is absolutely my favorite card in the 1977 top Star Wars sets. Always will be. My favorite image in all of Star Wars vintage is this image right here. So this card had to be my number 1. So there you have it, my friends. That is my personal favorite top 10 1977 Star Wars cards. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope you've enjoyed this journey. I'll continue to make more Star Wars vintage card videos. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. What's your favorites from this set? Are you surprised by some of the ones I chose? And let me know in the comments maybe what you'd like to see as far as videos go from vintage Star Wars cards. I'm open to any suggestions. Having a lot of fun making these. So appreciate you all, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.